Hello pilots. Today we're flying the J-10A, a jet most players have forgotten about since the new Eurocanards showed up. My goal with this video is to highlight just how good the J-10 still is. Starting the first match, I decided to stay a bit further away from the BVR arena, where there are often plenty of engagements. I also wanted to cover my allies below me from any targets that might eventually show up out of position. At first, we had a simple engagement. I have no idea what made the Su-27 think it could win a close-range fight using a Fox 1, but it didn't change my initial plan. I'm going to keep looking for enemies trying to go for top-down engagements. I wanted to have the missile ready to fire at the first target, but it wasn't in a good aspect. I just let it go and picked a more promising engagement instead. That decision paid off because the Su-27 ended up entering the range of my Fox 2s. We pulled off a solid defense there. Even though the outcome was great for me, it was really bad for the team. I'm left alone against a few enemies and out of missiles. The smart move here is to stop chasing that flanker even though it's damaged. It's one less threat we'll have to deal with later. My plan is to use the water as my escape route since it gives us a consistent terrain level. If I fly low enough, it'll be harder for the RNG from splash damage to take me out. We made it to the airfield alive, and judging by how many times they fired at me, I'm guessing they're almost out of Fox 3s. But since I only have the cannon, any fight now will have to be super close range. To frag, I'd need to take bigger risks. So instead, I'm going to pick lines and trajectories that force the enemies to take themselves out near the airfield. Everything went as planned. Not that they played badly, but they lacked patience. The right move would have been to let me rearm and set up an ambush out of the airfield's AA range, where they'd have had better positioning and altitude. Plus, they'd be 2v1, which would offset the performance difference each one had with the J-10. For the second match, I'm trying to play exactly like I did in the first, starting with passive routes and acting as a defender, not an aggressor. Even though the J-10 is pretty flexible with the playstyle you want to adopt, I get really good results playing it this way. But when you have a team that plays super aggressively and nails their engagements, the match usually ends really fast, and you end up with way fewer frags than usual. It wasn't the spot system or some bug. I saw that F-15, but I didn't expect him to come at me so aggressively after passing underneath. I was way more focused on defending myself from the enemies that usually come from the other side of the mountain at this point in the match. I got spotted for way longer than I wanted, and now it's too late to regain the altitude advantage. Once again, out of missiles. At least this time there are still plenty of allies and enemies left, so I can go back to rearm safely. Since their fight is really close, there's nothing I can do that guarantees I'll only hit the enemy, and it looks like I'm going to be too late to fire an IR missile. Looking at the allies, I think you can already tell what kind of positioning I'm going for, and as usual, there's an enemy ahead of us. Once again, a good start. It's pretty hard to always do this with the J-10 because at the beginning of the match, it's tough to make plays. You're always dependent on plays made by your allies. The J-10 can only really be a protagonist in the middle to late stages of the game. If you understand this well, you'll be able to fly it to its full potential. This guy's not in a good aspect. I'm not sure where the other enemies are, but since I have the advantage, all I can do is keep pressing until someone makes a mistake. Well, I didn't quite get why the F-15 kept trying to engage me after the first circle he made, especially since there were plenty of my allies with aim on him. He could have gone for a kill or two by attacking the others, but he chose to end up with nothing and go into the second circle. I saw that his aggression was going to keep going, so I kept the right speed to make good circles too. The last enemy probably spammed all his missiles at the start of the match, and is now coming back furious to the battlefield. Impressively, he activated a blind hunt, and it hit me, messing up my return to the airfield. Since I had enough fuel for a dogfight, I decided to wait for him between the valleys. Dealing with Fox 3s wouldn't be too hard with terrain cover. I did an excellent job here. I set up a perfect ambush on this guy. Before speeding up the video earlier, I had marked where the F-15 was, and my allied Typhoon spotted him heading toward me. So it was just a matter of time before he showed up for me to finish off the Eagle. On this map, everything favored enemy flanking, so this was the route I chose to start the match. Luckily, I managed to spot this guy. Sometimes enemies slip by unnoticed because of the dark tone of the trees, so it's always a good idea to carefully scan every square inch of your monitor. Here's a situation pretty similar to that match in Spain. This time, though, my teammate used much better dogfight lines and kept a good distance from the enemy, making it easier to engage at the right time to help out. Alright folks, I'll leave this match up to your interpretation as usual, and wrap up with my thoughts on the current performance of the J-10. As you can see, it's still an amazing plane to fly. It doesn't fall short in pretty much anything, and this suggests that the upcoming variants, like the J-10B or C, will be formidable in the game. Keep in mind they come with several upgrades, both electronic and in the aircraft's airframe, so if the developers model them well, J-10 fans will have some amazing planes to grind. Well, gentlemen, that's it for today. Do you agree or disagree with anything I said? Is there something that works better for you? Let me know. Leave a comment down below. Until next time, Karma out.